Alrighty, good morning. Starting off a little earlier today.
Yeah, bright and shining, smiling faces.
Smiling faces. So today on episode 3, we are going to be talking about mental health and religion and Christianity. So starting with our trigger warning first, just letting everyone know that these can be sensitive topics. We know that and understand that it can get difficult, and if anyone needs to,
I'm sorry. I'm for those that can't see, I have a yeah, I have a drink in my hand that has the same coloration as the green screen in the back, so it's making things in front of me invisible.
Okay, that's actually really funny.
I know.
Did not notice that. That's awesome.
I'll stop fooling around trigger warnings.
Told you, I get distracted easily.
You got this.
All right, so sorry about that. Yeah, back to our trigger warnings. We do understand that some of these topics can be sensitive or difficult, so if anyone needs to step away or anything like that, feel free. And also, if anyone ever has any questions or wants to reach out, we are here. Again, we're not professionals, but we are good listening ears.
Yeah.
At least Joe is.
We give some good advice.
Yeah.
Both of us.
So, all right, I'm starting.
Yeah, actually, you are gonna be the woman of the day, I think, because anything to do with religion, I am ignorant,
Okay.
to say the least. This is you. I'll probably ask a lot of questions.
Good.
But
Alrighty.
have at it.
All right. So, born and raised into a Christian family. So I'm just gonna give a little backstory. I'll start with that. So like I said, born and raised in a Christian religious home, and sorry, I had a train of thought, and
No,
then
you're fine.
left the station, and I was just left standing here. So anyway, sorry about that.
So you were born and raised.
So born and raised into a Christian religious family household. Went to church every week, had family worship, talked about God a lot. Yeah, it was very constant in our lives, like no matter what we did. It's always, pray to God, seek out his guidance, and read, study, ask questions, figure it out kind of thing. But the asking questions is a little loose.
Hey, good morning, Tiff.
Morning. So yeah, that's, like I said, born and raised. I did walk away for a little while, for a lot of reasons. One was mental health. I never felt, again, this is like personally too, I never felt when I was growing up, when it came to any of like having depression or anxiety, that I could really talk to anyone about it. I always thought that it was taboo or a sin. I'm using air quotes, a sin, because if God's in my life, why am I anxious? Why am I depressed? Why am I going through, I shouldn't be having these feelings of depression, anxiety, or wanting to not be here. So a lot of guilt, a lot of shame with that. I am gonna look over at my notes actually.
You're fine.
When I did start noticing that I was struggling with things, even not just the family, like not wanting to seek out medications, like because of the family I grew up in, also like we figure it out, we don't need medications, but also just the religious aspect of it. Again, taking medications, not trusting fully on God to heal me or take care of me.
So with that, I guess, with medications, is it frowned on to take medications, or like go out and seek help from anyone but like a pastor or any religious figure?
It's not frowned upon, but I think I was taking it the way my family felt about it and kind of putting it into what other people were going to think about me.
Oh, okay.
trying to think of the right word, like this, I don't want to say, but like the social pressure of it, the church pressure of it to,
Stigma.
yeah, the stigma of,
Yeah.
I'm taking medications, there's something wrong with me. But something that I learned, and this is nothing against any church, but it is something I have learned about churches, is everything is very hush hush.
Mm.
It's not saying that in a bad way, but we're all humans. We all have our problems, and we're all supposed to be able to come to one place and talk and be with each other.
Mm.
But something that I had felt was that it was all hush hush. We had our problems.
And you kept it in the family.
Yep.
Do you think your family would have been, maybe not ashamed is not the right word, but do you think your family would have been against any of that getting out? Or do you think they would have just kind of accepted that, hey, this is a thing?
I don't know.
Might be something to ask.
Actually, that's a loaded question, I feel, just because I am, for me,
Okay.
that's kind of, I would have to ask, because I am not sure. I am not sure. I don't think I did a lot of other things that they were more like turn a blind eye, we don't know her to, than medications. That is something I would have to ask, though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to have a conversation.
You should.
Ask.
I'm curious. You should get back to us.
I will on that. But yeah, so didn't mean to clap right into the microphone there.
Oh, you're
Sorry. But yeah, so I also, again, growing up in the church, like I said, we could talk to the pastor. I've had a few different pastors that have come and gone for my church in my lifetime. It's been so long. And there are some that like you vibe with and you get along with, and then there are others that you don't. So again, if you feel that you can talk to them, definitely talking to a pastor, I think is it's a resource. But again, if you don't vibe with them or you don't click with them, it's hard to even want to go and talk to a pastor, church figure, or anything like that. Again, my opinion.
So, again, in your opinion,
Not a professional.
what do you think the difference is between talking to someone you respect, their opinions and whatnot, or has a lot of life advice outside of the church versus talking to a pastor? If there is any really big difference.
I think it makes a lot of difference. Like if you respect someone, you get along, you guys vibe well together, and you can talk to someone that's outside of the church, absolutely. Because talking to someone is better than not talking to anyone. Learning that hard way, but
Right.
take my own advice.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
So what do you think the heads of the church or the elders or whatever you want to call them, what do they have to offer that is different?
So something that I have recently learned is, sorry, I just like your drink.
Oh, you're fine.
Something that I have learned, again, if you vibe with them. So the pastor that we have now, I've actually been able to talk to him. I have opened up about some of my struggles, actually a lot of my struggles, and have talked to him, and he's been very receptive, very supportive. He has pointed me to certain scriptures and things like that, which I've really appreciated and respect, and I'm really thankful for. But like I said, there have been pastors that come and go, and some I just, again, if you don't vibe with it. Here's a story, actually.
Yeah, personal stories are good.
So one of the pastors that we had, I was pregnant. I had just found out I was pregnant, or not just found out, but found out I was pregnant at 18. Wasn't married. What? All the air quotes, all the taboo things in the church. Wasn't married. Wasn't with him. Was pregnant out of wedlock. And the pastor that we had at the time told me that I need to make a public announcement to my church that I was pregnant. I was 18, very impressionable yet. parents agreed, so I did. Like, stood up, made my announcement. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So, okay, this was, okay. So I'm already, so this is what I'm talking about, like the guilt, shame, things like that.
Yeah,
I was already struggling.
It seems more traumatic than
it was very,
anything.
it was. And this is where, actually, I mean, as much as I was faltering in my faith, this is actually where it started to get worse. I apologize, sorry. Because of the, again, simple fact, like, I didn't mind if the church knew. I mean, I had planned on telling people, obviously.
In your own way, though, right?
Yes.
Like not making
I wasn't just going to stand
like,
up in church. I should have just went up to the pulpit and made an announcement.
Did they make you, like, wear a scarlet letter
No.
or anything? Like, and
should have. No.
walk around?
So they didn't. Nope, nothing like that. Like,
okay.
The church family was super supportive of me. They all, like, very supportive, and I didn't doubt that they were going to be supportive. I just didn't like the way that it came about. I didn't like the fact that my pastor at the time was, like, saying I needed to make this announcement. Because, again, I was going to tell people in my own time.
Yeah, in your own way.
Yes. So this is, again, I was already dealing with my faith. I was already having some issues. This just kind of, like, pushed it.
Everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, I would just like to, though, put in a little thing here. I love my church. I love my church family, and they are amazing. So nothing I'm saying is meant like ill will or anything. These are just my experiences with some of the past things that have happened. I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in about that. But yeah, so like I said, the church family had been amazing. It just started this, like, I'm going to call it a fast track into, like, my faith, the religion, and Christianity as a whole. Adding on my own mental health struggles, then again, single mom, dealing with this kind of stuff, being pregnant, the shame and guilt that was already there, just compiled it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like, so that's what I'm saying. So that pastor, no, like, I would never talk to him after that. Like, hi, whatever. His wife was awesome, but I never, like, talked to him after that. And I never, pastors for a while, I've always kind of felt a little, like, begrudgingly about them. Like,
because of that experience?
Because of that experience.
Okay.
Like, you're a pastor, I respect you as the pastor, but other than that, I really didn't want anything to do with the pastors, and honestly, I started getting more like, I don't really want much to do with the church. And
okay. For me being ignorant to everything religious, that would turn me off immediately.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. I don't know how you dealt with that. But...
Again, growing up with the family that I did, they were Christian, they were super religious, that I just didn't know any other way.
Did your family support that, what the pastor said, or were they kind of like, hey, I don't think you should do it?
They never said anything.
Okay.
They never really said anything. I have, like, since talked to my mom about it, and she admits, like, maybe it wasn't the best way to go about it, but again, he was the pastor. This is why, here's my another little 2 cents into it. I agree with pastors. I agree, like, having a pastor, going to a pastor. I also believe in doing your own research and searching things out and not just 100% trusting what one person says. Like, there's a lot of... I feel like I'm wording it. I'm jumbling it.
I think I get what you're saying. Is that kind of counter to what you get preached about?
Yes.
Because you should have absolute faith in what is told to you?
But no.
Okay.
Yes, but no. I love that question, actually. That's been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Even, like, my own search in life and with God and faith. Because if someone is reading the Bible and says, you have to trust what I am telling you because I am the pastor, that is a huge red flag, and you need to then go find find a Bible, look it up yourself. Because, again, if we're going to like the scripture part of it, we trust Jesus, we trust God. Not supposed to trust a man that says, you have to believe everything I say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the man, it could be faulty, or it could be...
Because we're all human beings at the end of the day. We're all human. We're all, air quotes, we're all sinful. Like, there's only one perfect person.
Okay.
So, yeah. But I always like that question. Because I've always been a huge, like, just because you said it, I'm probably going to try it, or I'm going to go search it myself.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
I'll do it twice and take pictures. But yeah, so like I said, that was the fast track to me, like, again, with faith, and again, that did not help my mental health whatsoever.
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
What? Why wouldn't it? But anyways.
So what did you do afterwards then? I mean, like, so you were made to go up in front of everyone, say, hey, this is what's going on, and then what happened after that?
You know what? I still try to go to church every week. I give myself that. Like, after that, like I said, it's just like my respect for the pastor and how I felt about faith and church just really went downhill. I didn't have an issue with God. I had an issue with like the church and how things were handled.
Okay. So did you do your own study or dive into scripture, I guess?
Nope.
And everything, or?
No. I didn't.
Okay.
I at that point, I was also getting to a point where I just I was getting very depressed that I didn't care.
Okay.
I guess is the best way to put it. Like I said, I wasn't angry. I was annoyed. I was like, this is stupid. I don't think this is beneficial or healthy. But I wasn't like angry enough. I was just getting more depressed. Again, being pregnant, that could be a whole nother one.
Postpartum depression.
Postpartum.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, like being pregnant, I was just getting depressed, and I was working. I did start, because I could blame it on being sick, so I was okay with that. But I was sick a lot on days so I go to church on Saturdays. And so Saturday mornings, I was sick. I would, this was before I moved out of my parents' place. Like I said, 18, pregnant, hadn't moved out yet. They'd be like, hey, it's time for church. I'd be like, yeah, I just don't feel good. I'm sick. I feel a little nauseated. So, gonna go to bed. That worked. So, but again, 18, my parents weren't forcing me to go to church.
Do you think they realized what was going on, or do they think they were blissfully ignorant to what was going on?
I think my mom knew, but with everything going on, I think she was maybe slightly ignorant to it. Again, but I do think she was kind of aware.
And just kind of turned a
blind eye.
Yep.
They went to church with my brothers, and it was fine. And yeah, yeah. So after that happened, that made it harder for me to even want to talk about my depression or my anxiety or any of the fears that I had. Going back another little step, my grandma, she was a worrywart. She had anxiety. She wasn't just a worrywart. That's what everyone called her, but she had very bad anxiety. Very bad anxiety, and used to call all of us a lot to check in, make sure we were okay. She was constantly praying for all of us, and but everyone would give her such a hard time because she would pray and put it in God's hands, but then she would still be worrying about it. And everyone would be like, well, if you gave it to God, it's fine.
Okay. But she just wanted to double check.
She did. And when I think about that, those are the red flags for me too, because it's like, having anxiety, yeah, we can I believe in praying. I believe it helps, but I also don't think that you should shame someone else for, well, if you believe in God and give it to God, why are you still anxious or depressed? And that's where I have a hang up when it comes to like religion and Christianity and mental health, because, oh, you gave it to God, you shouldn't be suffering. Not that everyone says that, but I have heard that. Oh, you gave it to God, you shouldn't be sad. You gave it to God, he'll handle it, you just stop worrying.
Okay, so if you, along the same lines, if you do give it to God, why doesn't it just kind of done? Like, you don't feel depressed anymore, you don't feel sad anymore. Why doesn't it? Maybe, I mean, maybe it does work for some people. In fact, Intention Seeker says, so real, I prayed to God to take my depression away so many times. How do you...
And I'm not saying he doesn't take it away. I think...
Right, how do you explain it to someone like me, where it's like, if you do this over and over and over again and more or less plead, like, please take this ailment of any sort, in this case mental health, take it away from me, like, does it feel like you're not being heard, or how does that work?
So my personal experience with this is that I'm going to use the broken bone analogy. You break an arm, you break your bone in your arm, you go and you get a cast put on. I'm not saying that miracles haven't happened and people all of a sudden have you hear about the stories where they broke a leg and all of a sudden it's healed. Like, I'm not saying that can't happen, but for the most part, you break an arm, you go in, they put a cast on, you can pray, but it still takes a few weeks, months for it to heal.
Okay.
I think we all know that the brain is a muscle, and I think it's one of those things like, it's not just about praying. Again, in my experience or my opinion of it, it's not just about praying. It's about having that faith. And you know what? Sometimes it is pleading that everything else going on around you, that God just takes like your need to control or whatever you're dealing with away, so that he could work on you not feeling like you don't want to be around anymore or having the anxious thoughts.
So do you think if you ask to take away those thoughts, and you said it takes time, which makes sense, if you don't change anything in your life, like say you do everything exactly the same way as you did while you were feeling down, and you don't change anything at all other than praying for it to go away, do you think it would go away still? Or do you think you have to make changes yourself also?
Oh, I feel like that, again, I feel like that's one of those, say that, I think you have to make changes.
I would agree.
I'm just saying, I feel like it can be controversial though too, because I do believe that you need to make those changes. You can't sit under a bridge being homeless and pray for a job or for work, but then not go out and seek it and seek employment. You can't just sit there and pray for it and not go and seek it. So I think if you're asking and praying for your mental health, for depression, anxiety, like, you have to at least start making slight changes.
And then you'll be rewarded for them for...
I don't want to say rewarded.
Okay.
I don't think it's a reward-based system. I don't think it is.
Okay.
But I do think I'm going to use it in loose terms, like, I'm having a bad day, my depression is acting up, I'm going to pray about it, but what is one thing that I can do to help make me feel just a little better? Go take a shower. Open up the window and breathe in some fresh air. Lay back down. I'm just saying, like, little things that would help boost you while also praying. I guess is the way that's how I view it.
Okay. So in my instance, if I don't pray but make little changes, does that lead to the same outcome? Or, I mean, potentially, I guess it could.
I shrugged my shoulders because I'm like thinking. So just everyone that's not watching, I shrugged. I'm like, I think. So this is something again that can be controversial, and I understand that. I think it all boils down to hope.
Yeah, hope is powerful.
I think it boils down to hope because you can make little changes every day that still lead to an outcome. I can do my changes every day and pray that still what potentially leads to the same outcome. But again, I think it kind of, again, something that I think it boils down to having even just that little bit of hope.
So for hope, because I'm gonna delve off
a
little bit off of religion, I think, but for hope, when everything seems hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
In your experience, how did you get any hope back? I'll do mine after yours.
Okay. So I got two things for this actually. So there's a story that helped me greatly. Have it written on my notes. Thank you.
I see that.
Pull it down for me a little. Thank you. Before I did seek help from anyone, I was in church. I was listening to a sermon, and the pastor was talking about Elijah, a man of the Bible, and he had done some really great things, and then he was depressed, and he asked God to take his life and to end his life and just be done. He was tired, he was done, he was depressed, like he just wanted God to take him out, be done. There is no judgment in the scriptures. There was nothing. He tells Elijah to basically take a nap. And while Elijah's napping, he sends an angel. The angel makes Elijah food. Elijah wakes up from his nap, eats some food, and life isn't so bad. Hope. I think that wraps around then to hope because Elijah was feeling hopeless. He didn't think anything he was doing was good enough. I don't feel God ever judged him. He sent someone to prepare him food. He got a nap. And in that, Elijah found hope again. He said there was never any judgment. God just took care of him. And that's actually the story that I feel it opened my eyes a lot and made me think, okay, just because the church is the way the church is doesn't mean God is. And that gave me hope.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents on that. On hope and God. And I had another one, but I'm not gonna lie. Again, it took off on me. So it'll circle back.
We can.
It'll circle back.
Mine, in a different way, it's kind of the same thing, if you will. Mine, I think, was. I mean, obviously, medication helped me, but I think friends and family just reaching out multiple times gave me a little bit of hope. I'm not going to say that I have a lot of hope, because I'm still struggling a lot with that, figuring out a purpose and whatnot. But just for an example, doing this with you, like, has given me a little bit of hope. It's kind of nice. Yeah, a little different.
I'm just gonna smile at you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I mean.
Okay,
You're up. I was trying to think of some more things.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Okay, so I do. I think hope plays definitely, like I said, I think hope plays a huge thing in it. Getting more comfortable now again as I as I've come back to God and gotten stronger in my faith with God, understanding that the church, yes, the church is a place to come and worship God, but the church is still, it's humans. Again, we're all humans. Not everyone understands, not everyone gets it. Everyone has their own opinions on things, but remembering that they're still people too, and I have my issues, they have theirs that they're probably not talking about also. I will say, as I have started to be more open about how I feel and what I'm dealing with, I have asked my church family to pray for me. And I have been a little bit more open about, like, this is what I'm struggling with. I need help. And no one can help you if you don't want to be helped, but praying is such a simple thing that doesn't take much effort, but it is nice. Like, I'll get a text from my one, well, she's not my biological grandma, but I call her my grandma Sally, and she'll text me and say, I was praying for you, sweetie, and I'm like, oh, I feel better. I just, again, that slight hope for me, like, oh, someone is thinking of me, someone is praying for me. So even if I'm failing today, if I'm not praying like I should, or I'm so depressed right now that the thought of that I can't even keep track of my thoughts, but someone else has prayed for me, that's huge for me. Which I think can be said to mental health in the church or mental health in your faith. Those could be two separate side tangents, actually.
True.
Yeah. But, so yeah, no, everything, in my experience, it's getting better. But just something I have noticed that a lot of the times when it comes to the churches and medications and mental health, it's all very hush-hush.
Do you think it's gotten better since you were 18?
Oh.
Or do you think it's still like a taboo, don't talk about it at all?
No, I think it's definitely gotten better. It's not where I would like it to be, but I think it's gotten a lot better. Again, we've had a couple pastor changes, few things since then that have helped.
Do you think, okay, so in your case it's gotten better. Do you think in general it's gotten better?
I do.
All over?
I think in general it has. I still, again, it's gotten better, but it's still, I don't think it's talked about as much as it should be. Like I said, going back to my little story of Elijah, that was, that's the first sermon I've ever had anyone preach or heard that it talked about, I'm trying to use the right word, unaliving oneself.
Gotcha.
And that is the first time I've ever heard that used in a sermon before. So again, it's not where it needs to be, especially in the mental health, like for the mental health, anyone, because it's more than just anxiety and depression, obviously.
Yeah.
No matter what you're struggling with, there's still so many things that are not talked about, and in the same line of, I love it when someone says they're praying for me, sometimes that can be a cop-out. I'm praying for you. Okay, but how else are we helping?
True.
I could pray until I'm blue in the face. That's not going to help. It's not going to help you if you're feeling alone and I'm not doing anything about it. Does that make sense?
It does. I would counter that only with, in that someone says, hey, I'm praying for you. To me, it would be more like, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Okay.
And that does help, me at least, a little bit. Just having someone say, hey, I'm not really there with you, but I'm spiritually with you. I'm there for you.
That's true.
If I can be.
I do like that, though, too.
I try.
I'm with you in spirit.
I try.
I liked that. I like that. But, so... yeah, going back to that, for the longest time, though, I struggled with thinking that my issues, like I said, not just the guilt and shame, but it was a sin. For the longest time, I thought the only reason I wasn't going to get to heaven was because of anxiety and depression.
Really?
Seriously. Because if I couldn't trust God enough and I still had anxiety and depression, then that was a sin. And that is something, again, it was never, I don't think that was ever At least I don't remember it ever being taught that way. And maybe that's just the way that like I construed it. But that's like for the longest time that's what I thought. Well, obviously I don't trust God enough. I have anxiety and depression, yet it's not going away.
So is, again, being ignorant,
Yeah.
is anxiety and depression and mental health all that a sin?
No, it is not.
Okay. You never know.
It is not. But like I said, it was just like the way I had interpreted it growing up. Not talking about it, not dealing with it. Like, this must be a really bad thing. Because again, we don't talk about it, we deal with it, we don't talk to other people about it. How are you today? Oh, I'm fine, everything's peachy.
Everything's great. You ever seen that meme? Kind of a side story. It's a little kid that's getting interviewed, and the reporter puts a microphone up to his face, and how's work going? And he smiles, and everything's going great, and then he just starts bawling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Being real and having those real conversations though with people and understanding that just because we go to church every week, just because we believe in God, doesn't mean that all of our problems are just gonna disappear and everything's gonna be peachy all the time. And I struggled with that for a long time. I'm aware. I grew up very naive. My parents kept me in a nice little Christian bubble under a rock. And I grew up very naive to things. Pros and cons to that.
Okay. What examples do you have? Just off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head?
Yep.
When I was 14, I went to a boarding academy. It was affiliated with our church. That's where everyone went for high school, 4-year boarding academy. I thought it's a Christian boarding academy. So I thought I was going to go and I was going to be surrounded by all these Christian kids.
Like-minded kids?
Yep.
Okay.
My first week there, mind blown. Mind blown, okay? Not that it's a bad thing. I do, but there was a lot of swearing. I learned so much my first week there. And I never, oh my goodness, I've just remember my first week there. And not knowing what to even think.
Just shocked.
I was, shell-shocked there because, again, grew up in a Christian home. I went to church, so I thought all the kids were going to be the same. Nope. Subdivisions from Milwaukee. It was a very good learning experience. But it was very eye-opening, and I remember calling my mom and just being like, I'm confused. Like, I'm very confused. That was a learning year for me. Because again, it was super
if you've
sheltered.
Never been experienced with that.
No, I mean, it was super sheltered. My dad's side of the family, they're Christians, they're not Adventists. So, I mean, I had seen different things growing up, but it was shell-shocked. I learned a lot. That being said, having the conversation with my mom as an adult, I was not prepared. You didn't prepare me for, no, you didn't prepare me for this. You sent me to the academy. I think I'm going to be with these Christian kids. We're going to sing Kumbaya every night.
And not so
much. Kind
of
joking. Yeah, not so much.
Are you joking?
I am not joking.
Okay.
That following summer was actually the first summer I got drunk then at my Christian camp. So I'm like...
Were you guys making hooch?
No, someone brought in a bottle. Now that you say it, though,
Crap.
I suppose. No. But I did. I was like, you never prepared me. You didn't prepare me for a lot of these life things because, like, and I understand. I do. The life that my mom and dad lived, I understand what they were trying to do for my siblings and I.
Do you think it was to protect you?
Oh, it definitely was to protect us. And I don't fault them for that. I just, now I probably not like overshare, but I probably am like too open with my daughter where I'm like, I want you to have these life experiences. I want you to understand. I don't want you to be too naive and walk into the world and be blindsided.
Yeah.
But again, I think there's two ends of the spectrum, and my parents, I think, overprotected me, and I'm probably not being overprotective enough. So again, they have therapy
Maybe.
for that.
You know, honestly, no, seriously though, I think honestly, no matter what you do, parents included, or all the way down the line,
Yeah.
up or down, you do your best and try to give your family what you didn't have or
Mhm.
what you think would have been better. And no matter what you do, it's not going to be completely correct.
Mhm.
You just do the best that you can. I think for me, I would have liked my family to be a little bit more open, but that goes with me too because
Mhm.
I close myself off to everything,
Mhm.
and everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you just do the best that you can, and
Oh, I do
You know,
agree with that.
no matter
Like I
what.
said, I'm not upset with them by any means. I was just like, you could have prepared me. What is this?
yeah,
But yes, I was gonna circle back to the church and medications
Yep.
and being on and just again being open. Easier said than done.
yes,
Okay, easier said than done. Imposter syndrome. So it ties in. Trust me.
okay.
Something that as I've personally like been studying, working on my walk with God, going to church, there will be times that I'm getting dressed in the morning before church and I just feel like the biggest imposter. I'm like going in, I know what I deal with, but I go in with a smile on my face. Everything's okay, everything's great. It doesn't matter if I am having a bad day or not. I go in like everything's fine because I don't want people. I don't want to be. No, I don't want to be open. I'm not being open enough. I'm gonna put that on me. I'm not being open enough because I think if I went to church and was having a bad day and actually let people see me. Actually, I can't even say I think. I know for a fact that they would love me and still accept me. Like, knowing what I know now. I do know this.
Yeah.
But I am not ready to be that open with them yet.
I was gonna say that too. I don't think being closed off from some or most people is a bad thing. It's just that the few that you do trust to be a little bit more open with them,
Yes.
which is still difficult in itself.
Oh, it is.
But I think there's a little bit of just you feel better about opening up. Hence, therapy works sometimes. I think just personal experience again, but I think opening up to my friends has been better than, and family has been better than trying therapy. Maybe I just don't have the right person yet, but for the most part, I mean, I've had better luck just talking to my friends.
I was gonna say, you're my therapist now.
I am not a professional. I cannot give professional advice, but I can listen.
Again, you were a very good listener. I agree with that. Talking to you, like, feel sappy here. No, talking to you, being able to visit with you, coming into this little space, I have felt better these last couple of weeks than I have in a very long time. Like, So I'm super thankful for you. I'm thankful for this space, but I do agree with that. Talking to friends, again, therapy is awesome. I fully support that, and I do think it's good, especially if you click with the right therapist, and you can you trust them. Again, building that relationship. But again, if you having a friend that actually understands and listens is huge.
So with the churchgoers congregation,
Okay, yeah.
I think, I don't know. Have you found one of your pseudo therapists there, like a friend or a confidant that's not the pastor, that you can kind of talk with?
I do, actually. Again, my grandma Sally. Speaking of that, I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. I'm due to visit her and get some cookies.
You should talk to her.
She always makes me cookies when I come over. I have a little plate.
Okay, that's therapeutic too.
Oh, it is. It is. She is my adopted grandma, and I know I could talk to her about everything and anything, and she always listens, and she always has she doesn't always give advice, which is great also, because sometimes you just want someone to listen, you know?
Yep.
Her and her husband, actually, he's like my grandpa, and they're both, they give such good advice.
Did you meet them in the church?
I did, actually.
Oh, cool.
I found out in a really weird roundabout way we actually kind of are related, air quotes.
Okay.
It's very so.
Second cousin, twice removed.
No, marriage, divorce, and some other stuff. That's the thing about church. It could be a soap opera. It really could. I've learned that over the years too. If you need some drama, you go to church.
I don't want any drama.
It's sometimes it's get a good dose.
Yeah. Okay, so
Not funny.
when you talk to pseudo grandma Sally, do you guys talk a lot about mental health, or is it just like someone to talk and listen to?
So actually, recently I've opened up about my struggles with it, and she's actually opened up about some of her struggles.
Oh, that probably feels good for her too.
I think so. Sorry, I uncrossed my legs and went to cross the other side, and I'm knocking things over and causing a ruckus over here. Don't worry about it. Just a mess of a person.
Anyway, continue.
God bless this mess.
Jeez, yeah, right.
It is something that we've started like talking about a little bit more, and it actually helped me realize and understand some things about my own grandma and her anxiety. Because my grandma and we would talk about things, but she felt a certain way about it too, because even she would make comments like, I'm just not trusting God enough. It's okay. I'll be okay. And I was always like, but again, I believe that you can trust, but you are also allowed to feel those feelings.
Hopefully I don't get off on too much of a tangent.
Go.
I talked to my mom a little bit about doing this podcast, and she brought up that, for them, if you started talking about how you were doing and how you were feeling and all that, and not doing so good, the kids wouldn't be around. Like, they would like just disappear and go into an asylum of sorts, or you just wouldn't hear from them again. And a lot of people were afraid to tell their parents or their spouses or whoever, because they didn't want to get tossed away and the key thrown away. So I wonder if that was therapeutic for her, for Sally, just getting things out that she probably has kept in for however many years.
Never thought of it like that.
Because I wonder how much she actually talks with her family or her husband. It might be something to ask her.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to ask, because I never really thought of it like that.
I never did either.
Different
Until
generations.
she brought that up.
That is a very good point. I am definitely going to be asking that, because that is a very good point. Because I mean, when you think about it, it's definitely talked about more now than it ever was, and we're not afraid. Well, we are
Sort of.
afraid. But I mean, like,
It's not as criticized. It's still criticized by
Yes.
older generations, I think,
yes.
more. And I think it's only because,
But I think they're starting to like realize certain things too.
yes.
Especially like your older generation that have been in the military or have been through things that are like they're now being affected, like not that they weren't before, but they are now starting to feel the effects and seeking that help that maybe they wouldn't have before.
I think you have a half and half on it. I
That's
think
true.
half of them, I mean, kind of half and half. You have a side that realizes that they could or should or
Mhm.
need to get some sort of help,
Mhm.
and then you have another half that is, well, you're a snowflake, deal with it, and
Yep.
I dealt with it. Look at me.
Yeah, you're fine.
And you know, I mean, some people do handle it well, but I think it is starting to become more accepted, at least millennials and onwards for the most part.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know why you saying millennial made me think of this, but it did. So here we go. I remember the first mental health day I took from work, and it wasn't because like.
Do you remember how bad you felt? Did you have the same
Oh,
thing?
it was horrible.
I
Like
felt-
the
I
first
felt absolutely
time
terrible.
I called into work because I was not sick. It was a beautiful day out, and I'm sorry, but I didn't want to be at work. I didn't want to be inside a building. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be in nature, and I was going to take a mental health day. I think I enjoyed half of my day because for the first half after calling in, I felt like scum.
Yeah.
It was
And
so
then-
bad. I was guilty. I was anxious. I was like, if I can't be seen outside, if someone sees me outside, I'm in trouble.
Yep.
Uh,
Heaven forbid.
What? Now I'm like, mental health days every day. Let's go.
I wish.
Just
Win the lottery. We're good.
right. That's been something that has been huge that I strongly implement for my daughter. Like if she gets up and if she's not like, I'm not having a good day. Okay, what's going on? Like, let's talk it through. Like, do you have a test or what's going on?
Yep.
We have found out that she's gotten a lot better, but she has a lot of anxiety. She had a lot of separation anxiety for a little while. That goes back to a whole nother thing. But her anxiety comes in the form of really, really bad stomach aches. Terrible. Now that we've learned that, we can talk through some things, we can delve in more. But anyway, point that I'm making is that when she says that she's having a bad day, she gets a mental health day. And like, it doesn't mean we just stay home and do nothing. Also, those are good days too. But like, we will go out, we will either get lunch together or we will go outside together. We'll do a craft together. Just something that we can do together. And then she can do her own thing. If she needs to sleep, if she needs to just be by herself, if she needs the company, like this thing. So I'm a huge supporter now of mental health days, and I will never feel guilty about them again.
I think I got those maybe like twice. I think I got pulled out to go to the dentist, I think by my dad.
Okay.
And it'd be like sometime in the morning, and then the rest of the day he's just like, hey, let's go get something to eat and go play some video games.
I love that.
Sorry, Mom. And
Now you
I
know.
think I think it was just a couple times, but it was really nice.
Yeah. So I remember my mom pulling us out of school from time to time. My dad pulled me out one time for lunch. Aw, all the good memories opening up right now. So I was homeschooled too for a bit, so we didn't really have mental health days.
That would explain a few things.
You know what? Explains a lot. Not bashing homeschooling whatsoever. It was great. Pros and cons. It was good. But that does explain a lot.
No comment.
Why are you so weird? Homeschool. Just kidding.
You guys don't see it, but she has this giant bubble that she comes in with, and then after,
Sandy wipe everything.
yeah. And then after, like, we're getting ready to go on, she takes it off real quick, and she's constantly doing one of these and kind of
Yep.
shrugging away from me.
He holds his breath when he looks at me because I would hate to have the. Just kidding. Not that weird.
So anyway, we have.
Back to topic.
We actually have about 5 minutes left.
Oh,
Do you have
snap.
anything in particular that you want to end off with religion and mental health?
I don't think it's where it needs to be yet. I do believe there are more things that need to happen, but I do believe we are getting there. Something I'm personally trying to do is be more open about it with my church, because I don't want anyone else to ever have to feel, and I'm not saying it won't happen, but I don't want anyone to ever feel the way I felt, like that having a mental health issue was a bad thing, because it's not a great thing. We all know that it isn't fun, but it's
You shouldn't
not,
be like ostracized for it.
it's not
Okay.
something to feel shameful about. Like, you can talk to people, and that is something that, like I said, I'm trying to. It's a work in progress, but I am trying to be more open about it, so that if anyone in the church wants someone to talk to, like, just to have that open dialogue, opening it up so that we can understand that it is not taboo to talk about. These are real feelings. This is real life. Sometimes we just need a little help.
Well said.
Sometimes.
Well said.
Well, for the last 3 minutes, I will plug in our socials.
It's all you.
So, we do have a link tree, and it's got all the socials up. It has our Instagram, our Facebook, our X, formerly known as Twitter. It's got YouTube. It's got our Spotify. We did put up 2 new tabs. Come check us out if you ever want. Oh, this one's a struggle for me because I hate asking this
You don't
one.
have to.
Okay,
Just
so
check
we
it
have
out.
the link, the link tree. It's got everything on there. We would love for you to check it out. Follow us. Follow, a like, a share. All of that is free, and we love free things. So
We
who
do.
doesn't love free stuff? I mean, come on. So yeah, if you don't mind giving us, like I said, checking out all of our links, giving us a like and follow on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, making sure I hit all of them.
I think you got pretty much everything.
Yes. I am working on posting more on Instagram. I've been struggling with that one a little bit. Not gonna lie, Facebook's been super easy, but Instagram, so I'll work on that, guys. I'll work on that.
We'll fix it all.
But yeah, all right. I plugged the socials.
Thank you. Don't have a topic yet for next week,
We
but
don't.
go ahead.
So I'll just put it out in the universe here. We had been talking about having an episode a little more fun coping mechanisms, but like fun coping mechanisms that we can do.
Hobbies and whatnot.
Yep, hobbies. I pulled out my crocheting stuff.
Did you really?
I haven't done it, but I pulled some stuff out, and I got a little excited, actually. And I haven't gotten excited about seeing my crocheting stuff in a very long time. So
That's really good.
it kind of was something. So
Aw.
shush. So hobbies, activities, yeah.
That might be a good one, yeah.
I would.
We can do that.
I like it.
Okay.
Like, probably next Friday, because I have to adult next Thursday and take my car in. Adulting. Ew.
Yeah, next Friday, probably afternoon again.
Yeah, be the afternoon, so.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us today, and hope everyone has a really good Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. Yeah, have a good Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.